So now we're on the trial number 7. This one is against, I don't know, yokai woman. She's got a big umbrella. And the next couple of trials I actually did pretty well on. They didn't take me a super incredible long amount of time. So let's just talk about each individual boss while I have the time then. So this one's a little bit straightforward. I believe this is one of the earlier bosses in the game. She does a lot of these umbrella attacks. Her first phase is very, very simple. Not a whole lot of gimmicks going on. Her phase 2 is when she starts throwing some gimmicks in. Now, funny enough, that was my only death against her. I had one death and then I came back and beat her. So, all I can really say is just watch the footage, and it wasn't too bad. I think the bosses that are typically easier to take down are ones that have longer time frames that you can actually do your blood attack against them. I believe this is the fight that I figured out that the lance is kind of insane as well. As you can see, the special thing on the blood attacks with this is when you hold it down, you do like a drill. And when you're doing your drill attack, you're kind of like invulnerable to damage if you time it right. It's very interesting. Technically that would have been a death there, but I did use my revive. But it turns out that charge attack is really good, because if you just notice there, if you were to watch it back, well, I got hit during my attack where I held it down and I was still doing the charge up, and I actually got some blood bar back there. Yeah, that yellow bar that you drain whenever you use your blood attacks. But it turns out, I think I actually started noticing it with the katana. If you were to do the charge attack on the katana, whenever you're getting hit during that attack, after you let it go, you don't take the damage and it refills your bar. Turns out it's really, really good with the lance, and I didn't realize that when I was playing through the story at all. So here we are in phase 2. Her one gimmick you'll see is at the start of phase 2, she'll do that every now and then, where she'll kind of turn into the umbrella and she'll go back and forth on the map. You just have to time your dodge right. It's really not that bad. She does have some tricky attacks like that where she slows down. Grabs you can kind of cheese, because when you open up the menu you can just heal and then you survive the grab. But here's what I was talking about with that phase intro. You just time your dodge, not too bad.
You're dead.
Boom! Trial 7 done just like that. On the Trial 8, we have Airplane Dog. Airplane Dog, on my playthrough of the game, was pretty brutal. I believe you get the rapier in the area for this. So this would be the first boss you can take on using the weapon I am using right now. I remember this one being kind of hard for me because it's very quick. It can be a little hard to tell what's going on. You can also see I'm getting very heavily punished for my retaliation attacks there. You are invulnerable when you do your perfect dodge attacks. It's just the ending lag on this weapon is not the best. Alright, and that was it. That was all my deaths. Now I just jump right into fighting the thing for the final time. You can also get quite a bit of damage with this lance, kind of easily. It's a little cool. The only other blood weapon I can really think of that gets like really good chunks of damage fast is the hammer, but the hammer doesn't stun the same way the lance tends to do. So the hammer is my favorite when you activate the special mode. I never remember what it's called. That purple bar in the bottom left, you can activate like your special finisher move and stuff. When you're doing charge attacks on your blood stuff, it'll always stagger the enemy even if they don't have the staggerable attacks.
You're mine.
And the hammer just turns out to be really good for that because it's so incredibly quick. So when you time your attacks with it can rack up damage really fast.
Too slow.
Phase 2 starts becoming an airplane. Here you now have access to flying up into the sky like that. It's a good way to dodge that phase intro, and anytime he does any attack like that. Technically a death, but with the revive we don't count it. Another big thing with this charge, as you can see, is you can just kind of hold it if the enemy's standing there, and even if they put themselves in that staggerable state, you just can get it for free. Because you're already sitting there doing it, so. The ninja tools, that's what this weapon is when I'm throwing the shurikens. That is really useful against ranged enemies like this. That's the last weapon you get in the game right at the very end, so it's really nice to go through the earlier bosses with them when you know their moveset. But it's incredible for letting you get a lot of damage really quickly at range. One thing I think I could do better with is switching between all my weapons more often, but that's something you pick up when you put lots and lots of time into the game. Something I have not gotten to the point of. I don't know if I ever will. I'm playing pretty lame right now, kind of just spamming the shurikens. The problem is that he's got those tornadoes. It can be kind of hard to actually get in without just dying. Now for Trial 9. This is a pretty cool boss. The music is actually really cool. I like the music quite a bit. I'll let it play for a bit for you. There's not too much to listen to right now. It's very just techno-y. Nice little bass line. I didn't die. This is actually my first attempt going against it. Spoiler, I did win. I don't know how, don't know why. I didn't beat this thing first try in my playthrough, I don't believe. So I'm pretty surprised, especially when it's got a strange moveset. Usually these big body things can be kind of hard to deal with because they throw their whole body at you and they just become a moving hitbox. Another boss, as you can see, that spawns in some add-ons. Not a lot of bosses do that. Katana feels so good doing those attacks. I don't know what it is about it. It seems a little more reliable compared to the other weapons. Phase 2, I can't really remember too much of the gimmick. I guess it teleports around, and that's kind of it. I'm not really too sure. Like I said, I beat it first try. I didn't have to learn it too well, so technically died there too, whatever. Using that vertical attack helps a lot with dodging the grab. That's what I was doing it there for. That long sweep attack is just great in general. And here's what I was talking about if you hit your special attacks in that mode. Now, because I think things were a little too easy so far after editing this together, even though the video would have been about as long as the other two, I decided let's jump to a fight where it was a lot more difficult than the ones I just showed you. This is, I believe, Trial 9, or this is Trial 10. There are only 2 other trials after this, I believe. Or 3? The last 3 trials are pretty hard. Yeah, I was fighting this guy longer than it took me to take down the previous 3 bosses put together. One thing that makes this guy hard that you'll also see with some of the other last fights, I'll point it out when it happens. So you see like that, where he does his little parries. Even if you hit him with the blood attack, will tend to get out of that, so it doesn't just stagger him, which can make it really hard to deal with these final bosses. Because they don't exactly behave the exact same way the other bosses do, which makes them a lot more challenging because you have to adapt to the kind of gimmicks that they now have. And really that only gimmick you have to adjust to is, instead of being staggered when you properly call out their stagger windows, they just deflect you and move on like nothing happened. You can see this is where I'm getting a lot of mileage out of the drill here, just parrying a bunch of his attacks. Also, just listen to this music. See what I mean? He deflects it rather than getting staggered, so you end up just feeling like you get robbed a little bit. Unless you catch him like that, which is very rare.
No escape.
Now, we get on to the hardest fights. Just bear with me.